Deb Murphy has filed several stories for Sierra Wave Media, including 3 incumbents and 2 challengers faced off at Saracoso College Tuesday evening in the pursuit of 3 seats on Bishop City Council. Incumbents Karen Schwartz and Joe Pexi and challenger Stephen Machovic are going after 2 seats. Incumbent Chris Costello, chosen to fill the seat of the late Pat Gardner, is challenged by Howard Wu. The forum, hosted by the Bishop Chamber of Commerce, followed the same format as last week's School District Board Forum: 5 prepared questions, then questions from the audience. First, the candidates were asked to describe their leadership qualities and how they would use those qualities on the council. Pexi defined his leadership skills through his career in law enforcement and involvement in local and regional organizations. Costello's skills included tenacity, love of people, and the ability to work as a team. Wu described himself one of you and is running to show that people should step up. His skill set includes getting people to see how others think. Machovic engages, listens, and makes decisions with everybody in mind. He would honor Bishop's past, but also look to the future. Schwartz is running for a second term to continue the city's progress and turn challenges into opportunities. Each candidate defined their vision for the future. Machovic and Schwartz wanted to see a more walkable, comfortable downtown, a place visitors would leave, jealous because they don't live here. Pexi focused on economic development. Costello would attract more service-based businesses, and Wu's hope was for kids to be able to come back to Bishop and find the same town they left. The election is 12 days away. And Deb Murphy also reports on Silver Peaks, a 70-unit affordable housing project that has gone one significant step towards realization. Bishop Council member Joe Pexi has been negotiating to purchase the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power-owned 3-acre parcel at MacIver and Spruce Streets after stepping up to fill in for the ill City Administrator Jim Tatum 7 months ago. He mentioned those negotiations have resulted in a purchase agreement from the department during Tuesday evening's Candidates Forum. After more than 10 years of back and forth, that was big news. Because Los Angeles was reluctant to sell any entity other than Bishop, the city simply fills the role of purchaser using community development block grant funding from Inyo Mono Advocates for Community Action. The property will be turned over to Amaka, who will work with the Stockton firm Visionary Home Builders of California as the development partner. The project will include apartment for families and singles with rooms set aside for clients of Inyo Mono Association for the Handicapped. VHS has a 35-year history of building and managing low-income and affordable housing communities in California. According to Larry Emerson, Amaka's housing and planning director, both the city and Amaka sent their comments on the purchase agreement back to the City of Los Angeles and are waiting for LA's comments on their comments and hopefully a final agreement. Well, Mammoth Brewery's basement was packed with voters Monday evening, waiting to get some help with the list of state propositions on the November 6th ballot from Supervisors Stacy Corliss and Jennifer Halferty and Mammoth Lakes Council member John Wentworth. Corliss admitted up front they were not neutral in their analysis. The 3 honed in on those propositions most relevant to the community. Not surprisingly, 3 of the propositions under scrutiny involved housing. Former head of Mammoth Lakes Housing, Halferty urged supports of Props 1 and 2. Prop 1, a $4 billion bond issue, would provide funds on a competitive basis to help grow the housing supply in Mammoth Lakes and Mono County. Halferty cited Mammoth's housing needs assessment that indicated 25% of the town's workers lived out of their cars. And of the 42% of the workforce commuting to work, nearly half of those would live in town if they could afford to. Prop 2, a $2 billion bond issue, would help provide permanent supportive housing for the homeless with mental health issues. The county is currently planning facilities in both Mammoth and Walker. According to Halferty, a law is in the works that would prevent hospitals from releasing patients unless they have a place to go, putting additional pressure on communities to deal with homeless issues. The third housing-related Proposition 10 places rent control in the hands of local governments while still requiring that landlords get a fair return on their rental property. According to Halferty, passage of Prop 10 won't make rental housing any more expensive. Corliss provided some rent control background going back to the 1995 passage of the Costa-Hawkins Act that limited rent control. This puts the power back at the local level, she said. Propositions 5 and 6 both got recommendations of no from the panel. Prop 5 would expand the ability of anyone over 55 or severely disabled to transfer property taxes from one property to another. Corliss explained, if an eligible property owner sells a $200,000 home and moves to a $500,000 home in Mammoth, they could pay the same property taxes they paid on the less expensive model. Over time, she said, that would take a lot of money from both the town, the county, and more specifically, special districts like schools. Wentworth described Prop 6 as the poster child for easy, cynical bonds. Okay, 6 would repeal the gas tax, but would provide no plan B for road fixes. But the more onerous part of the proposition is the fact it sets a very high bar for future road funding, much like Prop 13 did for raising property taxes. And Deb also reported on the Eastern Sierra Council of Governments, which held its first meeting since the 4 participating entities, Inyo and Mono counties, the city of Mammoth Lakes and Bishop, approved funding for partial staffing and the possible development of a joint powers authority. Mono and Inyo County councils, Stacy Simon and Marshall Rudolph, respectfully will update an existing JPA that was never filed, according to Mono Supervisor Bob Gardner. The draft will go before ESCOG members at the December 14th meeting, then back to each entity for discussion and vote. The one problem under discussion with no easy answer was the smoke generated by area forest fires. The Eastern Sierra seemed to be cloaked in smoke or threatened by fire through this past summer. An element of the new forest management plan allows for controlled burns and decisions on wildland fires based on immediate or potential danger to lives and property. Both strategies are in place to deal with unhealthy forests. Inyo County Supervisor Jeff Griffiths put it all in perspective. We've had 100 smoke-free years, he said. Western forests are in bad shape from bad logging practices, fire suppression, drought, and bark beetles, he said. We need to reset our expectations. The smoke discussion will continue. Great Basin Unified Air Pollution Control District will have an update at its November 1st board meeting, and the town of Mammoth Lakes will hold a smoke workshop November 7th. All of Deb Murphy's full reports are posted on our website, sierrawave.net. We'll be back with more news.